Hi, I'm Sifu Numrich from Elite Defense Systems. I like to answer a very common self-defense question that I get asked as a martial arts instructor all the time. What happens if we're attacked with a weapon and we don't have a weapon ourselves? Well, it really boils down to three quick things you want to remember. If I can borrow, let's say, Joe real quick. If Joe has a knife, the first thing I want to do is I have to make a decision. I really have three kinds of quick options in this first point. The first option is to inflict a shot of pain. Meaning that if Joe has a weapon and he stabs out, what I can do is just maybe give him a shot to the shin, maybe a shot to the eyes, something that's going to inflict a quick shot of pain. The next thing I can do is play with distancing. This is very, very simple in the fact of you just want to stay away from the weapon. So if Joe goes ahead and he stabs or slashes out, I need to make sure that I play with distancing and stay outside of that slash range. The last option in this first point that I have is to cause some sort of distraction. One of the easiest things to do is maybe if you have a pocket full of coins, just go ahead and take that out and throw it right at the opponent. Something that's going to distract him. After you've done this first point, you go ahead and we can do the second point. Second point is to go ahead and isolate the weapon's hand. So if Joe comes on out here and I play with distance, let's say, and then want to isolate the weapon. Once I isolate the weapon, I'm doing what's called a 2-on-1 kind of formation right here. I want two hands on his one hand and isolate this weapon so I know exactly where it is. The third thing I want to do is then terminate the fight. The best way to terminate this kind of altercation is just go ahead and use your close quarter ballistic tools like your knee strikes, your headbutts, and your elbows as well. The one point I'd like to make with the elbow strikes is save that for a third or fourth tool. Once I've isolated the weapon right here, I don't want to go ahead and take off a hand and throw an elbow. Now I'm back to one-on-one. Joe can simply twist out of this or pull out of this. So once I'm in this kind of formation right here, I can go ahead and throw in my close quarter tools, then maybe initialize an elbow or an eye rake or another headbutt. Usually when you start using those tools, you're going to get the person to go ahead and release their weapon. We're talking about a knife on empty hand kind of situation right here. What I'd like to quickly review is an empty hand versus a blunt weapon. So Joe, can you go ahead and grab a soft stick real quick? In this kind of situation, it's the exact same kind of point. First thing we do is we have to have an option of either inflicting pain, playing with distance, or causing some sort of a distraction. That's going to give us an entry point. Once we do that, we can go ahead and isolate the weapon hands once again, and then terminate the fight. The one thing you want to pay attention to blunt weapons, and even blunt, longer weapons, is the fact of we want to make sure they pass us before we make our entry on in. So as this kind of comes on in right here, if I go in right here, that's when I'm going to go ahead and get struck. I want this weapon to go ahead and cross the halfway point in order to make my entry. Sometimes, especially with a blunt weapon, I may not even need to inflict pain or cause a distraction, but I do have to pay attention to my distancing right here. So once again, Joe would come on in, he would swing, I get out of the way, come on in, isolate the weapon, then go ahead and throw in my close quarter tools. Now you try.